Hey guys, Kevin Downey from Kevin M. Downey. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. In this video, I want to walk through how we can identify whether or not a sales rep is actually built for cold outreach. Are they built for prospecting, lead generation, appointment setting, or aren't they? And it really gets into what I would call the epidemic challenge for sales teams in B2B these days in hiring, who they're hiring to do certain things. And we're seeing a lot of turnover, a lot of challenges. Some might say failure, not calling enough, right? We're just seeing that over and over again. And I'm going to show you how you can tell whether or not a rep is literally built for cold outreach. Okay. So before I dig into that, though, really quick, I'm not going to walk through our rate card, but here's our website, kevinmdowney.com. We build high-performing sales teams. We've got all of our, our program information and rates on the website. Link to Aptive Index, which is what we're going to talk about today. If you want to take it. It's awesome. It takes 8 to 10 minutes. Once you get it, you finish it. It's going to send you a PDF response that's going to show you your overall profile or assessment results. It's amazing, and I'm going to dig into what it is and how it works here in a second. But you got to take it. It's like people are always blown away by the accuracy level of what it tells them about themselves, right? Which it also then is going to tell us about people you're hiring, people on your team, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's our website. If you want to schedule a call, button in the upper right-hand corner, schedule a call, hit that, and we can jump on a call. Okay, all right, so how do we tell whether or not a rep is built for cold outreach, right? But whether or not they're built for sales first, but then what kind of sales are they built for, right? So we utilize Aptive Index. This is the most accurate assessment system platform on the market today. It's like the 3.0 in the space, okay? If you're not familiar, this is their website, aptiveindex.com. On the compare page, you will see a competitive analysis, okay? Now, there are only certain things that are actually true direct competitors to Aptive Index, and that is in the way that they assess people. The top two on this list would be two prime examples. A lot of other things are actually not even measuring close to the same things. Most assessments actually aren't EEOC compliant. They aren't something you can hire for. They don't measure anything that's stable. They measure things that change all of the time. And so that is where this product makes all the difference. And we're going to walk through that really quick here. So when we're dealing with Aptive Index, I'm just going to show you one profile so you can see it's measuring what we call cognitive psychology attributes. It sounds fancy. It's actually crazy accurate to tell you what kind of things, what the attributes somebody has that determines their decisions and actions. And these attributes, these cognitive attributes, are established when we're teens, and they don't change. And that's the amazing thing. Actually, I have a nice thing in our knowledge base about this. So I'll actually take the definition right from the AI, ARIA, which is part of what makes them so unique, right? So these attributes are fundamental needs and motivations that drive actions and decisions. They don't change. They're established when we're young. So we call it's a psychometric behavioral assessment that measures innate needs and motivations. It's like a personality test on steroids, but it's really not a personality test because personality changes. That's why all of the things in this space that measure personality and IQ and EQ and all that stuff, those things all change. Cognitive attributes don't change. Cognitive changes, right? That's one part of psychometrics. You have affective, which is emotion. That changes all the time. Cognitive, which is what determines our decisions, our actions, or the willing part of us in psychology and psychometrics, doesn't change. It's stable. And I've actually seen evidence of that by taking a competitor's platform 6 years ago and then a year ago. And obviously, I wouldn't have known how I responded on the assessment. My dots didn't change. Their product is really good. It just doesn't as advanced as Aptive Index, and it doesn't have the AI component. But their product is really good. If you haven't taken it, it'll blow you away. Okay, let's take a look at 3 things in this video where we're worried about whether or not somebody's built for cold outreach, right? So what we are looking for is, we're going to talk about our 5 core sales profiles when we're recruiting for clients that we run candidates through Aptive Index in the United States. Okay, you have SDR and one-call closer. We're not going to focus on now. One-call closer is a B2C sales position. Think residential window sales, going into a house on a residence on appointment. They've got to do a full-blown assessment, measurements, quotation, present that quotation, and get paper all in one appointment. That's a one-call closer. High-end automotive would be a one-call closer type profile. Well, really high-end boutique apparel or clothing. That's all one-call closer type profile, okay? SDR is inbound leads, taking those leads, qualifying them, and moving them to sales. That can be either B2B or B2C, okay? We're not going to look at that today. It's not all that different from BDR, to be honest, but on the B2B side, we look at farmer sales, hunter sales, and a BDR. BDR is dedicated cold outreach, lead generation, prospecting, or lead generation and appointment setting. They're going out, they have to find who the decision maker is. They have to identify whether that decision maker has a pain point enough to move them to sales or to move them to a call. That, excuse me, that is a hardcore BDR, okay? Farmer sales rep is the sales rep that gets the customer and maintains an ongoing sales relationship with the customer. When I say ongoing sales relationship, that means they are regularly selling to that customer, selling in new inventory, cross-selling, upselling, whatever it is on a regular basis. And by regular basis, let's just say define that as about quarterly or more often. Some reps deal with a small client base and deal with them every other day or weekly, right? But a lot would be like once a month or something like that, right? That's a farmer sales rep. Okay. A hunter sales rep is the opposite of that. It is someone in B2B whose responsibility is to get the customer, okay, but they don't have an ongoing sales relationship with the customer. I mean, they might do an annual renewal or check in with them once or twice a year. That's not a farmer. They're not regularly selling to them. They might do a renewal, and you could say that's selling, but that's not a farmer. That's not regular, ongoing relationship. And I'm going to show you in the profiles the difference. Hunter is pure, unadulterated, get paper. Get the customer and you're done. Somebody else is doing the deliverable and managing the customers on a regular basis and working with them. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the profiles. Farmer sales rep. What's a farmer sales rep? Okay, remember what I said. Farmer sales rep. We're measuring 4 main drives. 3 of them apply to sales, really. And then 2 standalone attributes we also look at are emotional resonance and intensity. Okay, so out of the 8 total drives when we're measuring an Aptive Index, we really look at 4 or 5, okay, depending on the role. So influence, sociability, consistency, precision, emotional resonance, and intensity, and then there's a couple others that we don't really use for sales, pro-social and abstraction. Okay, in the case of a farmer sales rep, remember, the drives tell you what needs and motivations people have to fill with their decisions and actions. So what they do is driven by these attributes, right? All things being equal, if you had a factory reset on a person going back to their teens, right, and no outside influence on what they are doing at that moment, you could literally predict what someone is going to do in almost any given situation. Now, there are outside influences that have an impact on that, but you can tell what someone is going to do in general. What are they wired for? What are they going to lean towards? What are they going to go do when they are faced with making a decision? Okay, so these fill needs and motivations. So high sociability, must have a connection with people on a very regular basis. That they need an ongoing connection and relationship with people as part of their work. That is a farmer sales rep. They are going out and working with that customer on a regular basis and having constant communication and dealing with them. You could call them an account manager, but they're also getting the customer in the first place, so they're a sales representative. An account manager typically is not a sales representative. They're managing the customer after somebody gets the customer, right? So that's a farmer sales rep, okay? Hunter, very different. This is high influence, high intensity. We want this person they want to drive the bus. They want to control outcomes and situations. They are the people that are your closers. They don't have an interest in having an ongoing relationship with the customer. Doesn't mean they're completely opposed to it by any stretch. It's just not what they need. What they need is they need to control. They need to drive the bus and control the outcomes of situations. Okay, that's high influence. Your entrepreneurs, your CEOs, obviously a lot of high-level executives, you're going to see a lot of high-influence people, as you would expect, right? We also want them to have high intensity. You want them to want to go after it hard, right? And this is where we deal with in B2B, neither of these profiles are built for cold outreach. Neither of them. Okay. Can you get a farmer sales rep to do it because they're going to build their book of business and there's light at the end of the tunnel? Yes. Can you get a hunter sales rep to do it? Not really. And it doesn't make sense to even try because they're going to be really expensive. So one of the things we see in B2B organizations now is the change of reducing sales team size, especially in a hunter sales model, but even a farmer sales model, and increasing the number of dedicated business development reps or sales development reps that are driving them leads and appointments so that your salespeople are dealing with decision makers with a pain point all day, every day. Whether they're scheduled with them or they got to go visit them or they have to call them or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're not fishing to find out who the decision maker is and whether or not they have a need or a pain point. That is the number one problem we see in B2B sales hiring, is we are hiring salespeople and most of their job on the front end, and especially for a long time, is nothing but prospecting. That's not what they're built for. They don't want to do that. What does a prospecting agent look like? What does somebody who's doing pure business development look like? Person who's wired for business development is this profile right here. Sociability a little bit right of the line, but high consistency, low ER, low intensity, low mid. Why? Because they have to repeat the same pattern day after day after day, 50 to over 100 times. Okay. They need that consistency. Not in the outcome and every call is the same, but there is a lot of pattern there in business development, but the pattern of their day is the same, day after day after day. They want that. They need that in their wiring pattern, in their attributes, of the way that they're built. So when we go and we hire someone to do business development, we're not hiring a sales representative. We are hiring a machine. We want a machine, an Energizer bunny. We want them to have decent sociability, high consistency. We want them to shake off negative because there's a lot of negative in business development. You're getting voicemail, you're getting hung up on, you're getting yelled at, okay? You want relatively low intensity because at this pace that they're going to work, if you have high intensity, they're going to burn out. We know that from experience, okay? You want to see, let's look at somebody who's a prototype, almost a prototype, BDR, SDR type person, okay? This is our BDR, SDR Leo. Leo's not even close to a hunter sales rep. Would never hire him for that. Farmer sales account manager, maybe. If he had a lot of calls and a huge customer base and he had to check in with a ton of people every day, he would be very good at that, okay? But he's great as a BDR SDR because he does the same thing all day, every day, and he gets it done and he works like a machine. It's the Energizer bunny. That's what we want in a BDR, okay? Low emotional resonance. He shakes off the negative all day long. Doesn't faze him. If somebody hangs up on him, swears at him, whatever, hangs up the phone, dial the next number, right? Intensity, relatively low. He can just keep doing it. Again, Energizer bunny. Just keep going and going and going, right? Relatively low influence. His sociability could be higher, right? Consistency is right there, and precision. He has very good attention to detail. With P, we just want in sales roles, we don't want it to be low. I don't care if it's high in general. We just don't want it to be low, right? His is a little higher than we need, and that's fine. It's right of the line. But we don't want somebody in P in sales. If they have to fill out any paperwork, CRM, they got to have a good attention to detail on order forms, all that stuff. You just don't want them down here with P. That's dangerous, right? Because that means they're going to miss stuff, not fill things out correctly, all that kind of thing. They just don't have really good attention to detail, okay? So that is how we identify whether or not a rep is built for cold outreach, for prospecting in a B2B organization, right? So if you have a sales team and you're saying, okay, I've got a sales team and I don't know what to do because they're not prospecting enough. They're playing around on LinkedIn. They're playing with their CRM. They're sending manual emails. And otherwise, they're not moving the needle. Some of them, or a lot of them, or a few of them. Then we need to look at that and say, okay, do we scale down our sales team, our number of salespeople, whether they're farmers or hunters, and do we start increasing dedicated business development reps for our organization to drive them leads and appointments, even if it means we identify decision maker in some cases, or we identify decision maker in pain point, which is a lead, or we go and we schedule a call for them. Whatever we want to do, let's give them the right people to try to talk to so they're not chasing all over the place because they're not built for it, right? That is how you build a B2B sales team today and become successful and be able to repeat and scale what you're trying to do. And again, BDR and identifying people that are truly built for prospecting and cold outreach, lead generation, and appointment setting is very, very crucial in recruiting today. We cannot afford to waste money on salaries for sales representatives that aren't going to do cold outreach. Because, and I talk about this in a podcast and another video, is I don't care if they have industry experience and a network and a book of business. Like, all of that stuff sounds great. And I talk about it in detail in another video. At the end of the day, how many customers are they really going to go get from that network? What do they know? 50 people? I mean, if they really were entrenched in an industry, they wouldn't be, they could make a phone call or two and find a job at a competitor if they had to go move companies, right? So they're not looking on job boards and they're not responding to marketing for jobs, okay? So if you're looking for that, you're going to have to pay somebody that's at a competitor and you're going to have to pay them more than they're making now to bring them over. So that's the first problem with that whole concept. But the other thing is that if they got a network of 50 people, so 100 people, okay, how many customers are they going to go get from that network? 5, right? Something like that. Okay, great. So they move the needle early on and then everything shuts down because they don't want to prospect. They're not built for it. Or in a lot of cases, if they have industry experience and know people, they just feel like they shouldn't have to. Like, I have my network, I know people, and I'm going to go after that network, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. And that is dangerous for companies because you must have a methodology for cold outreach and business development in order to continually drive a flow of leads and appointments for a sales team. They either have to do it themselves or somebody else has to do it for them. Okay? If you need any help, reach out to us. KevinMDowney.com is our website. Take Aptive Index. If you haven't taken it, take it. It'll blow you away. It's awesome. It takes 8 to 10 minutes. The information it'll give you it's just great. And then if you want to schedule a call, buttons in the upper right-hand corner of the navigation, schedule a call. Okay? Appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking the time. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.